Going back to the generation thing, I'll admit to the fact that I am a young baby boomer. So I feel like what you're saying is that it's up to us to change, to adapt to the young folks, as opposed to a little bit of a shared effort.
Responsibility.
Yeah.
Completely understand, and you are not alone in, if you will, that frustration. Why is the onus on me? Why do I have to change? A little bit of it is because there's going to be a lot of them. So because of the fact that there's going to be a lot of them, we do need to learn what drives them. But as important, if not more important, we need to look at things from their perspective, but also teach them and educate them and support them to look at things from our perspective. So it goes both ways, absolutely. But unfortunately, sometimes they can be pretty abrasive and vocal and bold, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to go there. So it's best to just take a breath and try to flip it on its head and say, well, they want to be engaged. They want to be here. They're asking a lot of questions, but I need to help them in a very respectful way to learn how to do it so that the older generation wants to listen.
So can I add?
Please.
I've been listening or hearing this I don't know, trend, I guess is the wrong word, but around OK Boomer, which frankly I'm offended by. So I don't know if you guys have all heard about OK Boomer.
What is it for?
Well,
yeah.
my understanding is it's sort of a way for millennials to say, yeah, whatever, Boomer, we don't understand, whatever. Basically, I don't respect you. Basically, whatever you said doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes across to me as incredibly disrespectful.
Sure.
And yet, that seems to be pretty prevalent.
Yeah.
At least in the media. I don't know, Sam, you're very in touch with the media. What do you, not to pick on you, but.
I mean, I guess to me, I feel it is kind of a dismissive, and I can see how it can be offensive. I think it also speaks to, like, there's a lot of things that are not working in the world. Climate change, I think, is a big piece of the OK Boomer, and so sort of an outrage that, like, you had your chance to get on board with resolving some of these issues, and now we're left here holding this, so we're not interested in what you have to say. That's where I interpret it to be born from. I'm not saying that's
and that's
correct, but then it kind of catches on, like it's just kind of a big middle finger across the board.
Well, especially with social media, it's like wildfire.
I think in that specific instance, though, it was the person that was responding was being truly disrespected.
Yeah.
And it was a response. And then you're right, it's been kind of carried through, become something in addition.
Lori.
I think it's every generation. Remember us growing up, or I was a little kid during the Vietnam War, listening to my older cousins who were about to be drafted, and their
Can you repeat the question, because we can't hear them? I'm sorry to bother you.
So okay.
Yeah, there's one.
Is there one? Oh, no, that's just.
No.
That's a mouse. So, yeah. Sorry, we're talking about OK Boomers.
Yes, I just think it happens with every generation. We didn't have respect for our parents on certain issues, and it's happening again. It's the way it is. That's what I think. I have some other comments.
May I want to stay on this for just a second, and I'll come back to you, I promise. So you are exactly right, Lori. I don't mean to point. Sorry, that's rude. All of you are correct because it all comes down to perception, right? And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon who you ask, social media is so pervasive that somebody's opinion is going to spread like wildfire, whether it's right or wrong. And you are also correct as far as the younger generation is much more socially responsible. They're much more, at least in their mind, right? They're much more in their mind fiscally responsible. And because they've seen what they've seen, 2008 to 2010, climate issues, they basically think we've blown it. They don't trust the financial, the kind of whole overall financial world. You know, banks, investment companies, they don't necessarily trust it, but some of it is because they don't understand it. So just like, so I and not to make you feel defensive in any way, shape, or form, again, because it's all perspective and we need to seek to understand, but we may say, hey, millennial, you're entitled. You're lazy. That's a lot of what I've read. And I don't know about you guys, but the majority of the millennials that I've worked with, they are anything but. They just, and so they come off as being entitled because, again, they don't know how to use the words that we need to hear from them to show that they're not entitled. They are driven. They are vocal about what they want. They just need to get our support to figure out how to work with the older generation so that we want to listen. So it's a terrible paradox. And so it's very, very challenging. And I agree, sometimes you get, it's hard not to get angry, frustrated, and just want to disengage. But that's doing a disservice to not only you, but to them. Because you have a lot of experience that you can impart with them, both in your professional and personal life. So try, think of them as your son, your daughter. Give them a second chance. Give them the benefit of the doubt. And I think you'll be really happy that you do.
You can only tweet however many characters, you can only text so many lines, and it has, for me at least, and what I think I've observed, it has less to do with expediency and sort of like response times, and more to do with the length. And I believe that speaks to your characterization of millennials desiring the why.
Yeah.
Because like how quickly can we build that understanding to like what our ask is or why our mission matters, and I find that timeline is shortening for younger generations than it is for older ones, and I think
absolutely. Let me touch on that for a second. Sorry, did I cut you off?
No,
Didn't mean
go for
to. Boomers love stories. So when you are talking to an older person, they are going to tell you about their childhood, or they're going to tell you about, and it's going to feel like an hour when maybe it's only 5 minutes. But it's probably going to sometimes drive you crazy, right? Long emails, long letters, long everything. Gen Xers, little bit less so. They like more brevity, more specificity, and they prefer, as I said before, email or phone call over phone call or in person. But a little bit more brief. Millennials, absolutely. If you're not in and out of there so thank you guys for being so patient, because usually if you're not in and out of there within 15, 20 minutes, you have lost them. And it's not a dig on you guys. It's just that's what you're used to. And that's why you get so much done. You're so efficient and so effective. If you have the knowledge of the why, okay, here's what we got to do. Here's the process. Here's the deadline. If you need my help, I'm here. Go. And you guys are rock stars. It's just we need to learn how to talk and do it at your pace. But then please also, for those of us who are older and slower, be patient with us. Anybody else? Lori.
One thing that I've learned, especially being in the financial world years ago, was to follow Murphy's Law.
Mm-hmm.
And that is never assume that something gets done when it's supposed to. Something could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I've carried that through.
Mm.
Just something could happen. Making a request for an action item, or making a request to do something here by email. And always follow through with that to make sure it gets done. Because sometimes it doesn't. It falls through the cracks. We all have things fall through the cracks. The other thing is, at the beginning you mentioned how women take things personally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding so do men.
Yeah, they can, absolutely.
Especially having 2 millennial
Yep.
kids.
Yep.
It's amazing how much drama there is. With my boys.
Absolutely true.
So
So-
I guess that's changing.
So yeah, let me address both of those things. So the Murphy's Law, feedback, follow through, accountability, absolutely critical. That's all a part of integrity and trust. But be careful not to micromanage. And if you're not sure, if you're micromanaging somebody, ask them. You know, I trust that you're going to get this done. I got to tell you, it's in my nature. I'm kind of paranoid. I'm not saying you are. But, you know, I've had enough things go wrong in my experience. So that is why it's in my nature just to check in. If I'm bugging you, let me know. But I need to know that this is going to get done on time and successfully. Just have that dialogue. There's nothing wrong with that. Number one. Number two, and again, these are all stereotypes. So there's no 100%. There's no one size fits all, right? We are all individuals. I know some really sensitive 60-year-old men. So again, it's very different. I know some very insensitive 60-year-old women. So it just, you know, it's across the board. But the millennial and the younger generation absolutely are more feeling. They have the desire for empathy. And I don't know if there's any other millennials in the room, but please let me know if I'm speaking out of turn. Again, they were engaged in their families, or they were engaged in school. It was much more participatory, I think that's the right word. And so you're absolutely correct that it's kind of women and millennials there's a lot of overlap as far as also what they're looking for in the workforce, I believe. Engagement, respect. Everybody wants respect. But millennials especially want respect. They want to vote. They want to feel that their opinion is being heard. And as well they should, right? So I hope that addresses both of those things. Yes?
Just to piggyback on what you're saying, so I think, what's Gen X again, age-wise?
So Generation X is 1970 to 1986 approximately. So 50 to 36.
Gen Y.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm a millennial, I know all of you already know, but
Hang on one second.
I've been actually one of the youngest at the office
Yeah.
for about 4 or 5 years, so Just wanted to kind of piggyback on what you were saying. For me, I really like to be able to feel like I'm involved
Yeah.
and say and feel respected that yes, I may be younger and newer to the workforce, but I have something to say, and I will always do it in a respectful way. Sometimes I think the traditional roles, I'm always going to be very respectful to my boss, and at the
Right.
end of the day, I know he has the say, and I respect that. But I always like having an opportunity to
You want to feel heard.
have the feeling,
Yeah.
and because I consider it's a team effort, but I also think I do respect those traditional roles, and I will always know that my boss has the say at the end of the
Wonderful.
day, and I will respect that. But it is really fun to feel involved, and that is something that I really value.
That positive affirmation is fantastic. And I hope, I don't know if your boss is in this room, but, oh, great.
I thought you were going to say he tells too many stories. It's like, someone stop her.
If I hear the Irish joke,
But you give Clem a really, I do kudos. Clem is really, really good about, since I started, that he values what I say, and I always feel like I can, give my opinion or my thoughts or ideas in open arms, and I think that's something that he listens really well.
Well, thank you, and I think that's a two-way street.
100%.
I highly respect our team, and we are kind of a younger group. So,
That's wonderful.
so
That's great.
thank you.
Because not everyone feels the way you feel. So that's a testament to the communication of you guys. And hopefully, if you are anyone is in a position where whether someone that works for them, with them, above them, whatever, if you're not feeling that level of respect and collaboration, I really encourage you to have that conversation with whomever the respective person is, because that person may have no clue. They may not know. And if they don't know to get better. They don't know to try to improve. So, anyway, great.
And then quickly, because we've been talking a lot about, how to talk to millennials, can you give us some feedback on how millennials can communicate better? Because I don't think we've really touched on that, and I'm curious and kind of wanting to learn more.
So, one of the sort of not easy, but maybe simpler takeaway, rather than making demands, and again, these are stereotypes, rather than making demands, ask questions. I think we lost somebody. That's okay. I don't take offense. I'm happy you guys have lasted this long. So say, look, I've been here 6 months. I have accomplished these things. I think you value my work. I would like to eventually be promoted to X. What do you need from me for that to happen? And then it's a conversation. Not, how come so-and-so got promoted and I didn't? That's entitled.
Right, Kiona?
Or the situation, I'm really frustrated with the situation, and you just complain. Bring solutions. This would make me feel better. I think this would work really well for all of us. What do you think of this idea? Can we try it out? And so again, it's really tone of voice, and it's just, you can ask the exact same thing, but if you make it into a question as opposed to a demand, and ask for engagement. This is what I think. What do you think? Does that help? Okay. Good? You guys have been great. Yay!